Welcome back on Starting Point, and we're so happy that you're still with us on Starting Point right here. And if you're wondering why are we looking so purplish today, pinkish today, and that's because today we are celebrating the International Women's Day. So isn't that great, Aisha?
Yeah, and purple has been the color theme for International Women's Day from year to year. And this year, amplifying the strength and resilience of women worldwide, let's explore inspiring stories, discuss challenges, and champion the strides towards a more equitable future. So together, we celebrate the achievements that paved the way for a world where every woman's voice is heard and every success is recognized. And it's very great that people are heard us today on Starting Point. So join us in a powerful dialogue with Mr. Iriantoni Almuna, Program Manager Women's Economic Empowerment from UN Women Indonesia, and Ibu Risha Kori, Gender Program Specialist, UNFPA Indonesia.
Hello, good morning to Pak Tony as well as Ibu Risha Kori. Thank you so much for joining us here. We're so delighted to have you. And of course, today we're celebrating International Women's Day. And first of all, I would like to ask your opinion first. At this point, let's go to Pak Tony first. As you are the program manager from Women's Economic Empowerment in UN Women Indonesia, Pak Tony, what do you think are women's achievements so far in Indonesia, and what do you think the women's progress so far right now in this generation?
Thank you, Luisa and Aisa. Happy morning to you all, and also happy International Women's Day, of course. And to answer to your questions, we have been seeing progress, of course, in women's economic empowerment. There are some progress, but it's very slow. For example, we are seeing that the number of female labor force participation has been slowly moving towards towards some good statistic, but it has been stagnated in the last 2 decades. For example, in the number of 49 to 50% compared to 80% of male labor force participation. So we clearly have some more work to do in that regards. But I think what exciting to see in terms of women's economic empowerment as well is seeing that women have more alertness to also starting their business. You know, out of we have now 74 million MSMEs in Indonesia, and 65% of it is run by women. So we see this is a very exciting potential. Considering that the 61% of our GDP is contributed by the MSMEs, so we see here that this progress are made by women, particularly in growing their business. So I will mark that as achievement, if you like, but also, of course, there are homework towards making it more better in the future.
Now, speaking of in terms of economic landscapes now, as you have mentioned now that women have progressed much, especially in the last 2 decades, and that is a good achievement, a really great achievement for us. But in your opinion, what are the main challenges that we are facing in order to contribute more to our community so far?
Well, if we talk specifically about women's economic empowerment, I think one of the alarming challenges is the unpaid care work. You see, women spend three times compared to men in terms of taking care of the unpaid care work in the families. They have less opportunities to access into productive activities, and that's including participate in formal employment, or also even accessing formal education, because they have to take care of the burden of taking care of this domestic and unpaid care work most of the time. So I think I see this as one of the challenges. And specifically also, if we talk about women's economic empowerment, access to finance among women is also still very limited, because there is also lower access into lower financial literacy. With lower financial literacy, then they have also lower access into formal bank, for example, and when they have lower access to formal bank, meaning they also have limited access into capital to grow their business. So there are a lot of issues, but main challenges, if you want me to highlight, is the unpaid care work, so access to financings, but also rampant gender-based violence, which I believe my colleague Mbak Ria can also tell you more later on.
And of course, we're still getting there. I mean, like, as a woman myself, I feel like we have so much things to do. We're always multitasking.
Yep.
Like as a mother, we need to take care of our kids, but we are also somewhat expected to also have a career.
Yeah,
So
and not
it's
to mention,
tricky.
during the pandemic, it was the really hard time for all of us, and especially for women. We can see Indonesian women growing also their own business, their own home business as well. And I would like to go to Ibu Risha for this part, as we are still talking about economic for Indonesian women as well. And as UNFPA is now one of the leading UN body for gender equality, how do you see it from there? Like how important is gender equality in achieving sustainable economic development, especially amid the COVID-19 pandemic?
Hi, Burisha. We're still trying to get to Ibu Risha now. Hello, Ibu Risha. Can you hear our question?
Uh, Thank you, Mbak. Good morning. Happy International Women's Day. Could you repeat your question again?
Okay, so we are talking about the gender equality, and especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, we can see during the pandemic many Indonesian women growing their own business, home business as well. But now, since we kind of like over the pandemic, it's now we can see the gap again between women and men at work. And how do you see it, especially at the UNFPA, fighting for gender equality?
Thank you, Pak. Thank you, Mbak Luisa and Mbak Aisyah. As a UN agency that working for sexual reproductive health and reproductive rights, we still see the challenge and the advancement, the challenge of Indonesia in terms of gender equality and especially reproductive health. So let's start with the challenge. Yeah, in Indonesia, like comparing between Indonesia and the global level, every hours, one woman in Indonesia dies because of the complication during pregnancy, birth, and post-delivery. Indonesia is one of the highest maternal mortality rate among Southeast Asia country, with 189 maternal mortality rate per 100,000 live births. And although 91% births were assisted by skilled providers. And the second one, globally, 1 in 3 women, approximately 736 million women, have experienced physical violence and or sexual violence by an intimate partner or non-partner violence in Indonesia. 1 out of 4 women aged 15 to 64 years experience physical and sexual violence by partner and non-partner through 2021 surveys. And over 200 million girls and women in the world experience female genital mutilation. They are the survivor of female genital mutilations, while in 2024, 4.4 million girls are at risk of FGMC, and in Indonesia, 55% women aged 15 to 49 years old reported that they have daughters undergone FGMC. Now we are talking about the child marriage. In Indonesia, although the
di tempat kerja, marketplace, dan komunitas.
Sebagai bagian dari komitmen kami berusaha untuk
disconnection happening right there. So perhaps we will try to contact Ibu Risha Kori again, but at the moment let's go back to Pak Tony. Pak Tony, can you please share with us, at the moment for UN Women Indonesia, is there a specific campaign going on or any initiative that is currently underway?
Well, we have a lot, but particularly today, because we are celebrating International Women's Day, the themes of this International Women's Day this year is investing in women, accelerating progress. So we are doing a lot of campaigns towards achieving this message on empowering women more by investing as well in women. But in Indonesia, we are doing a number of activities. That we are working in three main activities, if you like. First of all, is we're addressing gender-based violence in Indonesia, which is still very fun. Yeah. And secondly, we are also promoting women leadership at grassroots level, particularly in promoting social cohesion and also peaceful community. And the third pillars, which also resonate to your previous questions about economic empowerment. So I will specifically probably mention one initiatives under the women's economic empowerment. So we are promoting women's capacity in terms of growing their business, equipping them with digital skill, for example, because our digital market is very exciting now in Indonesia, and we want to make sure that women can also have a better access into it. For example, using the e-commerce to market their products. So one of our programs called Together Digital, in which we have trained more than 3,000 women, I think, in eastern part of Indonesia, so that they can have like a sufficient digital skills towards accessing this digital economy, like I told you. But what's interesting about this is we are not only training women, but also we are training their partners, because we believe if we talk about women's economic empowerment, we actually have to change the environment, and in the environment we are also seeing that support from the family is also needed, particularly for those for example, who are running the business. Sometimes their husband also have to have the awareness to redistribute the care burden that I previously mentioned. So meaning that with this redistribution, women can more focus in growing their business. Those are just some of examples of what we are doing in Indonesia.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like sometimes outside of Jakarta, especially in the villages, especially. There's still that perception that women are not supposed to work, because that will take the focus away from taking care of the children.
Yes.
And I mean, it's like at the moment we have so much digital inception, and it really opens up more opportunities for women out there to be able to go into businesses and I mean, like putting ourselves in the map and having our own career.
Yeah. Like even though it's just like a home industry or you being
Something
creative,
simple,
do something for yourself. I mean, that's something already like empowering
exactly.
yourself.
Yes.
And this is the initiative that is always brought up by the UN on International Women's Day for women to be freely to be heard. And for this year's theme, Pak Tony, can you also share more to us how this year's theme with Indonesian women and women worldwide to support the International Women's Day?
Yeah. So again, the themes of the this year International Women's Day is investing in women, accelerating progress. I think it's actually a reminder for us, because we have a global commitment to achieve gender equality by 2023. And this year we are already into 2024, meaning that we only have 6 years. If we are not doing something, if we are not investing more in women, then how come we can achieve this target? Like I said earlier, we still have a lot of challenges in terms of achieving women's empowerment. Although, of course, we have to acknowledge there are some small progresses, but also challenges remain there. So I think the International Women's Day set as a reminder for us to our commitment nationally and also globally to do more in empowering women. Let's say, for example, why the team is investing in women. Out of, say, for example, the global funding towards international development, only 4% of those funding are allocated to the programs on achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. So meaning it's very low. So this International Women's Day that we annually celebrated is a reminder, like I said earlier, that we have this homework to be to be achieved, if you like. And we at UNWomen are happy to observe that year by year, this excitement of celebrating together the International Women's Day is increasing, including in Indonesia. So we have more discussion like today's I have with you, Luisa and Aisa. I think this is a very important occasion because now we can talk about this, and the more we talk about this, the more awareness hopefully will be there among different stakeholders, not only society but also the government, and most importantly also private sectors. They become aware about the role that they can take into promoting women's rights and also gender equality in Indonesia and also globally. Back to you, Mbak Luisa and Mbak Aisha.
Yes, we couldn't agree more. And today is such a reminder for everyone, not only for women, especially women, to have a voice. And here in Indonesia, maybe we're one of the country that doesn't really apply, like put it there for like the period break. Or like the pregnancy and delivery, maternity leave, and that is something that we also would want to bring up and to be heard as well. Not to mention about the gender equality at work, the paychecks and everything, and that is an issue not only in Indonesia but also globally. And I think what you mentioned as well, Pak Tony, it's one of the challenges for the UN Women as well, for International Women's Day and the gender equality that we are fighting for. It's still a long road, but we are happy that what we heard from you is it's progressing. And do you think that we can, like, how far we can be finally at that point?
Yeah. I'm losing some connection, I think, but I think I have your question about like how far we can we should like move towards that. Well, the global target of the Sustainable Development Goal, I'm sure you're familiar with it, is 2030, meaning we have only 6 years, like I said earlier. Goal number 5 is achieving gender equality. But based on the Women's World Economics Forum data, I think in 2020, we still have more than 100 years until we fully achieve gender equality, meaning that maybe our generation, Mbak Luisa and Mbak Isa, we will not be, hopefully we will be still alive to see it, but let's keep our optimism. But what I'm meaning to say is actually, although we see that the road is still very long, but we have to start now. And we have to start together, because otherwise the challenges that we have been discussing will not be changed. But so that's why I say, there are challenges, but also there are small progress, and this progress should be also acknowledged and also celebrated. So yeah, we still have like 100 years. It's a bit long, but I'm very optimism with this level of this kind of awareness happening, evolving around the globe. We will be achieving and we will be closing the gap hopefully sooner than 100 years.
Well, 100 years seems long, but I mean, considering where we are now, putting women on the map, and I think these days, like, we have seen women like rising up for gender equality. Pak Tony, I'm just curious, is there by any chance, do you have any personal success story that you have experienced so far in your career in UN Women that you can share with us of how far maybe one of the women you've met have made it so far?
Well, there are a lot of stories, of course. Personally, I have been working in the issue for more than 20 years, and I've been meeting like many different women. But I think one of the most exciting story is that you rightly mentioned, Mbak Luisa and Aisa, just now, that women's business is very resilient during the pandemic, and we see that actually is also true, and it's also proven by the data as well. So investing in women's SMEs is very important. In women business is very, very important. It's not only smart. It's not only how do we say a good thing to do, but it's also smart economically. So So if you ask about a specific example, I don't have anything that I can remember on top of my head now because there's so many challenges, but also there are so many achievements. Like I said earlier, at least through UN Women program, for example, during the pandemic, we created this online platform for women to learn about business, about how they can assess themselves, whether they are fit into running a business, and after they run their business, how they can grow their business. So we developed this digital platform called We Learn, where women can learn about business online, and we have now more than 10,000 women who registered in our platform to learn about business development. So for me, that's actually one of the challenges where we bring this knowledge and skill to be more accessible by women so they can participate in the economic realm, in economic domain, if you like. So I think those are some worth to mention, highlight. But also, when we talk about achievement, we should also recognize that the government has been also playing that part. For example, when we talk about economic empowerment, the government launched the National Strategy on Financial Inclusions in 2020, which specifically also mentioned the needs to promote women's financial inclusion. So equipping women with access and skill towards economic development has also becoming the concern of the government. So I think there are some achievement, but those achievements are actually the result of collaborative work between the government, UN agencies, also the media like you. Also, you play part in raising awareness, and also each of individual who has the awareness to also creating changes to women. And when we talk about women's empowerment issue, it's not only a women only issue. So I personally say that I am a man, but I work in this domain because I believe that the problem of women's empowerment is also a problem of justice, problem of humanity, and problem of human rights, which and everyone can contribute to that, regardless of their gender, for example.
Yes, that is very good that you mentioned the problem of human rights. That's the initiative for the earlier days of International Women's Day, that women don't want to be put as, oh, you're a woman, but you're a human being, and that's one of the main idea of the gender equality. And now we have Ibu Risha is back with us, and after talking to Pak Tony about the challenges, and also Ibu Risha already explained to us briefly about the challenges in UNFPA, and in light of International Women's Day today, what initiatives or campaigns is UNFPA leading to promote gender equality and women's reproductive health awareness in Indonesia?
Thank you, Ma. Sorry, I was out. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Loud and clear. Go ahead, Ibu Risha.
Well, of course, yes. As for UNFPA, as we are part of UNCT team, with this year, we have campaign on press briefing jointly with UNIC Indonesia. And then the second one, we have COP, what we call it COP, is a platform of youth in digital innovation on sexual and reproductive health. We have them through podcasts with the team on GBV Online. And then other than that, for the campaigns, UNFPA has annual campaign on International Women's Day, World Population Day, International Youth Day, and 16 days of activism against gender-based violence to promote gender equality and reproductive health. We work with sister agencies like UN Women and partners, including youth, content creators in our community of practice network in these campaigns. So one of our largest global campaigns that promote digital safety and bodily autonomy in response to technology-facilitated gender-based violence in the Body Right campaign. We also launched our State of World Population Report this month, or SWOP. This is every year to highlight the latest population and reproductive health trends in a collaboration with BKKBN. This year's SWOP report, entitled Interwoven Lives, Threats and Hope, Ending Inequalities in Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights, takes the opportunity of the 30th anniversary of the 1994 International Conference on Population and Development, or ICPD 30, to reflect on how far we have come achieving sexual and reproductive health and rights for all, arguing that A more equitable future requires a renewed commitment to empowering those furthest behind. That's all, I think, Mbak Luisa and Mbak Aisyah.
Ibu Risha, you just mentioned just now about the role of youth. Do you think you can elaborate more on this issue? What is the role of youth in advocating for gender equality now, especially we are in the digital era where they have such a presence in, as you mentioned just now, being content creators and having a voice through social media. Can you explain more on that?
Yes. When empowered and provided the right opportunities, youth are effective drivers of change. And we have the analysis that the calculation, girls who are not married as of children have a greater chance of finishing school and securing employment, translating into trillions of dollars in economic benefits for society. When we invest in women and girls, everyone gains. And then the third one, young people need to talk more about gender equality and reproductive health because it is relevant to us all. And knowledge about our bodies and our rights should start at a young age. Then sexual and reproductive health education among youth and access to quality sexual and reproductive health services for everyone, including the hardest to reach and most marginalized communities, are all necessary aspects to improve maternal health and reduce death. Gender equality is also key to ending preventable maternal death. Young people can join the cause of promoting gender equality and sexual and reproductive health by learning more about gender equality, amplify the messages, be agent of change, and break the taboo surrounding gender and sexual and reproductive health and right issues, and demand policymakers to prioritize the health of girls and women through platforms like social media and youth forums. If possible, join forums and discussion like public hearings about policy plans.
I agree right there, Ibu Risha. It's very important to learn about gender equality, and also important is how to amplify our voice.
Yeah. And one more question to Ibu Risha, because we're still talking about the gender equality and also how important the intersectionality of gender and reproductive health, how it is like the correlation and how important it is for influencing the policy and advocacy efforts in the country.
Thank you, Mbak Aisyah and Mbak Luisa. Sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights is the foundation for gender equality and the human rights agenda, which in turn is a prerequisite for economic growth, development, peace, and security in any given context. When women and girls get inclusive access to sexual and reproductive health information and services, they will be able to achieve their full potential and accordingly participate equally in sustainable development. So in this case, the theory of change informs our advocacy that investment in sexual and reproductive health is investment for gender equality and ultimately investment for development that puts human rights at the center, that leaves no one behind.
Thank you, Ibu Risha. And as a closing statement, can we please go to Pak Tony right there? Pak Tony, do you have any messages or words of encouragement for all the women out there celebrating International Women's Day? How do we accelerate this progress for gender equality, and how do women can become more progress and as well as, well, we like that message that we can actually do it all, really. Pak Tony, go ahead.
Thank you, Mbak Luisa and Mbak Isa. I think when we talk about women's empowerment and gender equality, like I said earlier, it cannot be achieved without collaborations. So collaborative approach between all the key stakeholders, that's including the governments, play important role. The development agencies like my colleague here, UNFPA, UNHCR, included, academicians, so young people is very important. I told you about the challenges and also about the time required to achieve gender equality equality, but maintaining optimism is also very important. And I would like to also respond to your questions about the importance of engaging youth. As we are speaking now at UNMON office, we're actually launching our National Gender Youth activists. So we selected those excited youth from across the Indonesia to actually take part and participate in our cause of promoting gender equality. And they can come with their fresh mind, with their excitement, and also with their energy as young people to contribute into the cause. So we see challenges, but also we have to be optimists. I think that's my key message into during the International Women's Day this year. And once again, happy International Women's Day to all.
Happy International Women's Day, and we can also feel the energy coming out from Pak Tony as well as from Bu Risha Kori just now. Just speaking about women really makes us excited, especially we are going for the right direction now.
Yeah, even though it's still a long way and we're still in a fight, but it's a collaborative effort, as Pak Tony said. And it's not only in Indonesia, but also worldwide. We are celebrating International Women's Day. So there's always hope, yeah?
Big hope right there, Aisha.
Yeah.
Well, Pak Iriantoni Almuna from UN Women Indonesia, thank you so much for joining us here on Starting Point. And as well, our thanks goes to Ibu Risha Kori, Gender Program Specialist at UNFPA Indonesia. And once again, happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
And Starting Point will be right back just after the break, so stay with us.